Hello, and welcome to World Water Week. The water sector is in need of new ideas and transformation in order to take on the challenges presented by climate change, urbanization, and environmental degradation. To do this, we need bright minds and new thinking. Today, we're taking a deeper look at inventWater, a global network of 15 early stage researchers tackling diverse water challenges with new thinking. On today's panel, I'm joined by three members of inventWater: Ricardo Pais, PhD researcher based at Dundalk Institute of Technology in Ireland; Maud Siebers, PhD researcher at the University of Stirling, United Kingdom; and Kirtana Suresh, a PhD researcher at the International Institute of Applied Systems Analysis in Austria and Utrecht University in the Netherlands. Welcome, all of you. Thanks for being here. So, Ricardo, I'd like to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about inventWater, what it is, who takes part, and how it works?
Yes, I can tell you more about it. So, inventWater is a PhD research network funded by the European Commission through a Marie Curie Action Program. It is a network that is formed by different institutions, but the majority are academic, but it is also formed by institutions in the public sector and the industry. Within this organization, the aim of inventWater as a network is to develop and communicate methodologies, tools, instruments to better manage our water resources. We're talking here about lakes, rivers, reservoirs, water supply systems, and so on, taking advantage of current and emerging technologies so that we increase our capacity for adaptation against the challenges that we currently face, those challenges that are so highlighted here in the World Water Week, such as those related to a more variable climate or those related to our own activities as humans. So within inventWater, there are senior researchers that have a high degree of expertise in different fields and which train and supervise us, the early stage researchers, the PhD students. We are a cohort of 15 people from different countries with different backgrounds, with a range of disciplines so that we can link up work together and address challenges. Some of us, for instance, work at a local scale where we address a particular water issue for a specific geographic area or sector of society. This could be a case study in Lake Victoria, for example, one of the Great Lakes of Africa, where work has been coordinated there with stakeholders simulating future scenarios in the lake catchment using modeling software and tools and even fieldwork campaigns so that we can provide information and they can use that information to improve the nexus between water, food, environment, and energy, which is relatively complex in that area. Other of us differently work at greater scales, where we conduct regional or global scale analysis, such as those related to water quality, water quantity, food security from a water supply perspective, or the likeliness of extreme events, such as floods and droughts. And this would be done using global hydrological models and Earth observation techniques. And again, to provide information to authorities so that they can use it to progress on different metrics, including the Sustainable Development Goals. And this is in brief what inventWater is about.
Wow, I mean, it sounds like you're really, you're connecting all sorts of different sectors, but also to different levels of expertise. You're
Yeah.
saying that you're bringing in new thinking as early stage researchers, but you're really paired with seasoned professionals who are working in, who have been doing this work for a long time, and also connecting with real world problems. Thank you so much for that. Maud, we heard from Ricardo about some of the challenges that, that the world is really facing, and some of the opportunities, some of the work he mentioned about the work in Lake Victoria. So I'm curious to hear from you, how are some of these challenges benefiting from the engagement of early stage researchers, and why should other groups be looking to partner with initiatives like inventWater?
Yeah, so like Ricardo already really well highlighted, is that we have such a big knowledge base in our project. There's 15 of us, all of different research institutes behind us, but also we're all internationals. So we all have these different experiences, and that in and of itself already really benefits these water challenges. But what's very unique and what's been really highlighted in World Water Week here as well is the collaboration aspect of inventWater. We're not only focusing on the research, but we also have that connection with applied practices. And with applied practices, that can be anything from industry to NGOs to water managers, anything that is applied essentially. And that makes inventWater really beneficial for all parties involved. And that's why I think people should really invest in more projects like inventWater.
Wow. I mean, it sounds fascinating. It sounds like there's so many opportunities, and I'm actually really curious. I mean, you've both mentioned some of these projects a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit more? Can you give me maybe a specific example?
Yeah. Of course, all of us have our own very unique examples, but I can talk a little bit about my project. So I'm trying to improve forecasts of algal blooms in water bodies using satellite imaging and modeling. And normally that would just be a research project, just a PhD project. But because of inventWater, we get these secondments, and for me, that's at a water manager. So I work actually at their reservoir in the south of the UK that is experiencing these algal blooms, and I get to see them. And that means that I get to talk to their water managers, their algae experts, but also the people that are actually in the engineering drinking water plant, meaning that I get direct knowledge into my model, and I can use my model to actually address their specific problems. So we run through different management scenarios for them, and we actually get a solution out of that, making inventWater or most of our projects sort of a win-win situation, both for the PhD researcher, the ESR, as well as the collaborations involved.
Wow. So, I mean, it really sounds also like mutually beneficial. You are getting that real world experience as an early stage researcher. You're able to apply what you're learning, be able to apply those models that you're developing, but also the client that you're working with is also be able to be on the receiving end of this cutting edge research, right? You're creating something that's new for the water sector, and they're able to test it out and bring it to life right then and there. Wow, it sounds really fascinating. I can understand why you advocate that we need to do more of this. Kirtana, like the others, you've been part of inventWater since 2021. So tell me, what has been a big part of the network brought to you as a young professional, and would you recommend others to seek out similar platforms?
Sure. Since my time at inventWater, I have been working on understanding and quantifying the drivers of degrading water quality in lakes. So definitely I have grown in terms of research and technical aspects like modeling, data analysis techniques, scientific writing, using many tools and methods. But what is really different in inventWater compared to other traditional PhD programs is that we have many training and skill development activities. So these can range from very technical topics like big data and modeling to water management and governance to entrepreneurial training as well. So it really gives me personal opportunity to very much reflect on how young people can contribute in creating solutions, especially by generating new knowledge and tools. And I think by now you would have guessed that we have many networking opportunities. So it happens both within the network and also outside. So I would say that these training activities within the network actually give a strengthened collaboration between the researchers and also with the senior experts that we have in the network. Because we are so lucky to have access to the resources, we also have the freedom to choose what workshops we want to organize, what conferences we want to go to, and then it could be even the training aspects in additional to the network-wide events. At personal level, what your ambitions are or career goals are, you can tailor it to them. So I have absolutely enjoyed that freedom. And I think as a woman, I also want to acknowledge the gender balance that we have at the researcher level and also at the supervisory level, which I think is very inspiring, that we can aim for high level positions and have an ambitious career in water sector. And like Maud already mentioned, that we have these secondments, where in my case I could go to Wageningen University and Utrecht University in the Netherlands, so for a duration of almost 9 months in total. Of course, I got the excellent research exposure. What I valued very much is also to first-hand experience how is water managed in Netherlands. I would be always curious and fascinated with reading that almost 30% of the land is below sea level. How it's very nice to see in person how they have actually built these structures and how they're managing their water. So yeah, in the end, I would just like to say I'm very grateful to be part of inventWater Network, and I hope through this talk show we can inspire young people to pursue research through programs like inventWater. And definitely, it's a call to action to the funders and other experts out there to create more possibilities for younger people to have such dynamic networks.
Yeah, I think we all have something to gain when we do that, right? I mean, I think I'm feeling quite nostalgic about my own study days now and thinking, gosh, I wish I'd had those opportunities to really apply what's out there, to take what I'm learning and see how it applies in the real world. And I think that example that you've shared about looking at the water systems in the Netherlands is really, yeah, quite brilliant. And I echo your call for action there. I hope that we'll be able to see more opportunities like this. Let me ask you all, I mean, how do you see the role of young researchers evolving in addressing global water challenges in the future? I mean, clearly we have this call to action consistently coming, and we have really here at World Water Week, we see a big push. You know, we want to hear more from younger voices. We have we have traditionally in the sector, you know, relied a lot on what's been done in the past, but we're in a different world now. We're in the world of AI. We're in the world of big data. We are in a whole new world now. And the problems that we're facing are not getting all that much better. So tell me, maybe Maud, I'm going to start with you. How do you see the role of young researchers evolving in the water sector in the years to come?
Yeah, I think you said it best. Like with the constant innovation of the world, you just need a constant new generation that's actually grown up with these technologies that are changing so fast. And I really like what was said in the opening ceremony, that youth is not just the future, it's actually the present. So that's really important. And I think inventWater makes a good start with that by really focusing on that young aspect there. So I think our roles will just be evolving constantly and be more and more needed in water research, but also just research in general.
In general, brilliant. Ricardo, please.
I think that more than young researchers, youth in general will be key for water in the future. I think that young generations have more access and are becoming more familiar with emerging ways of communication and information access. And this is great to extract information and examples of solutions in different locations, but also to allow for communicating your outcomes to different layers of society, as these platforms, including social media, often offer exposure to different audiences, including new generations.
No, I think that's really interesting that you say that, especially that role of social media. I think for people who are old like me, there can be a lot of scariness that goes with social media, and but I think that that's really quite brilliant from people like yourselves who are younger, who've grown up with it, as you said, Maud, that there is so much benefit to be had there, and we need to lean into that. Thank you for that. Kirtana, please, what's the role that young professionals will play in the water sector and the global challenges, as Maud pointed out?
We are all aware that actually half the current population is under 30. So to me, it makes very much a logical sense that youth is leading this and is also at the well represented and kind of at the forefront of water leadership. So I think in general we have a lot to do when it comes to protecting and restoring our water resources. So I hope that youth can step in here and then bring more inclusive, open and cooperative ways to deal with water crisis, because I think it's also about the conflicts that are going to increase in the future because of climate change. So I think we have to be very cautious going forward to have representation from all the stakeholders and voices in water management, so that we can also deal with the growing differences, ideological differences in politics, and have environment and water at a priority.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. You just started to touch on it a little bit there, Kirtana, in terms of the complexities of the world today. You know, there's ideological differences, the growing climate crises, environmental degradation, everything that's building on top of itself. So I'm curious to hear from all of you as we deal with more complex challenges and as our world continues, it almost seems to slip into more complexity. I'm curious, how does inventWater and platforms like it make us better prepared for what lays ahead? Ricardo, I'll start with you.
I think that inventWater in general is a great training, and I'm referring to the people and through the structure itself and even through the funding. It really boosts innovation and high performance because it tests you in different situations, in different settings, in different countries, and with different people, with different cultural backgrounds again. And that is something that in reality we have often when we address issues. So I think that's very key and prepare us to really tackle situations from different angles. And as a personal note, I feel much more prepared now as a professional, as an individual, to work both on my own and as a team member.
Brilliant. I mean, what I hear from you is, you know, the richness of diverse perspectives that the program offers, but also a huge opportunity for you yourself to come into this water world better prepared and ready to tackle these challenges. Thank you, Maud.
Yeah, so I think inventWater is really trying to get that collaboration aspect, like I mentioned before already, and I think that's just a very powerful aspect for tackling these complex challenges, because it's not just complexity in research and it's not just complexity in maybe in applied science, but it's you need that collaboration that we've been talking about all week here already. And inventWater is just really boosting that, not just with those secondments, but also with like giving us these opportunities to come together each year or multiple times a year and getting these trainings. So I think inventWater really like inventWater and ITNs like this are really, really good in like getting a start on those complex challenges and in inspiring us after inventWater as well to keep looking broader than just our own projects.
I think it's really great that you point that out, that you know that need for collaboration, but also to retain the interest within the water sector. I think this is something that we often really kind of struggle with as a sector, to keep bright minds engaged with us throughout their career. And so I think it sounds like inventWater is creating that opportunity for you by setting you up and hopefully building the right networks to do that. Please, Kirtana.
I think for me also personally, collective action and cooperation is very important. So I cannot emphasize enough on having well representation from the youth, and also not just in other aspects, but also at the decision making level, so that we can achieve the sustainable development goals. So I think platforms like inventWater, which has been already said by Ricardo and Maud, that they're good capacity building platforms which can prepare the next generation water professionals and make them competent and confident like us. So I just hope we can have more and more such networks and more youth engaged in research, so that this collaboration aspect around the world can actually shape the research that we have in water led by youth. And yeah, I think that can lead to a sustainable future that we all want.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And I'd like to thank all three of you for taking the time to join me today and to talk about inventWater, but also shed the light really more broadly on the need to get your expertise and people like you into the sector, and that we all have something to gain when we do that. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today and to learn more about inventWater. It's clear for me, and hopefully for also for our audience, that we definitely need to find more ways of getting this type of thinking into the work, and also not being afraid to transform, not being afraid to take on what this new generation is bringing towards us. So thank you so much for today, and we look forward to seeing all of the brilliant things that you'll be doing today in the future. Thanks very much to our audience as well for joining, and thank you for joining from online. Right. Sorry.